Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Strong Hands Reborn Dad. My name is Odie. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I am a Reborn doll collector, and our channel here is all about sharing the love of Reborn dolls, the artistry, as well as the joy and happiness that they bring us. And we're a very inclusive community. Both men and women are all welcome here. And we definitely talk about things like mental health. So, for those who struggle with things like ADHD, anxiety, depression, those type of things, we absolutely cover that. And we talk about how Reborn dolls can be supportive for those people. We also talk about dealing with loss or not being able to have children and how Reborn dolls can help with that. If all of that sounds good to you, as well as other stories about Reborn dolls, please feel free to like and subscribe down below. Would really appreciate it. We're getting so close right now at the time of filming to getting our first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we're just crossed over 2,500 followers on TikTok. And we have dozens of comments and lots of likes. And I'm just super blessed and honored that all of you guys have come and visited with me and shared your stories. And I really appreciate it. So, we're going to dive into today's topic. And I like to be very open and transparent with you guys. And I don't like to shade around things that I find curious or shy around, topics that I feel like are important. With that said, there are certain topics like copyright and this whole discussion around stolen artwork or um, unethical use of sculpts or anything like that. I typically don't like to talk about that. In this space, I prefer to focus on how a particular doll makes someone feel. If it brings you joy and happiness, that's good enough for me. In my personal collection, I prefer to try to practice as much ethical collecting as I can. That means I will not buy dolls from irreputable sources. I will not talk about or endorse dolls that I feel that are misleading. In the past, I have dolls that I didn't know any better about, and so you guys see those in my collection, but going forward, I don't promote them, which leads very much into today's real subject, as you saw in the thumbnail. And I got an email a couple weeks ago now, and apparently, this channel, we're getting big enough that we're getting noticed. And I was really shocked to see who it was from. As you saw in the thumbnail, it's Babeside. And what was interesting to me when I saw this email come in from them is that, well, I actually know who they are. I've bought a couple of dolls from them before, mostly actually for my son, believe it or not. And, I personally have had a good experience with them. So when I got an email from them that said that, hey, we want to sponsor you, and for them, they said that they would let me pick out a doll of my choice, let me do a box opening, let me do a reveal, that kind of thing of it, and a review. My first reaction was, oh, this is cool. I know who they are, and I know they have good products. Like, my personal experience was there. But I also know in this community, there's a lot of discussion and debate where Babeside gets lumped into this group of companies that have been accused of being scam companies, have been accused of the doll that they see on the website isn't the doll that you get, or the photo that they see on a website is actually of a reborn doll from an actual artist that a company lifted off the artist site and put it on their own website and sold it as is, so to speak. And when I got this email from Babeside, that part of my brain clicked in as well because I don't want to support a company or product or anything like that that I feel is unethical or isn't a good fit for my audience. Basically, it's that question: would I buy this doll? Well, in my case, yes, but beyond that, is this a good company to partner with? Is this a good company that I would feel good about having my name behind and encouraging others to purchase from? That's a really big question to ask, and I try to get as much back story, back understanding, investigative work as I could, and try to look at all aspects of this. And I was so glad because Babeside actually were really open and transparent with me. And all of the information from them today that I'm going to share, I actually did get approval from them to share it. It wasn't because I felt like um, I wanted to see if, make sure they were all comfortable with what I was going to share. It wasn't that. It was more of I wanted to see how transparent they would allow me to be, because that is a big thing. So if they were reluctant, or in the first email back to them, if they had said, no, no, that's okay, we're not going to do this, and really backed away, or if they didn't really answer my questions, that would have been a clear sign to me that maybe there's some truth behind what the accusations are. But that's not what happened. But I still want to present all sides of the argument, and I still want to ask the question: is Babeside a legitimate company? Should they be fairly or unfairly lumped in with um, other companies that even myself, you guys have seen on my channel, from companies like Doll Reborns, that I did not get the doll that was promised to me. The communication with that company was an absolute nightmare. And, things like they wanted me to return the doll to an address in China. The quality, the doll was damaged and they wanted to offer me a discount rather than replacing it, and those type of things. Was Babeside the same? And my personal experience says no. I did have a doll with shipping damage once before from Babeside, and they quickly replaced it. So where are we at? Because my experience with them is not lining up with what I'm being told by the artist community, or many people in the artist community side of the Reborn dolls, and all of that. And there's such a high profile topic and such a divisive topic within the community. I can tell you that there's Facebook groups dedicated that if you don't support what they call replica dolls, then they don't want you in the group. If there's other groups out there that are the opposite, if you're not a true, authentic reborn collector, then you don't belong there. They're adamant about it, and that is just kind of too divisive for me. I don't know if I can single-handedly bridge the gap between these two thoughts behind companies, like what they feel should be lumped in as Babeside or Doll Reborns, .com. All I'm going to do today is present what I have found through my research and let you guys decide. But one thing I would like to know before we get too deep into this is, do you guys own Babeside dolls? If you do, I would love to hear about it. Do you have experience with Babeside, good, bad, or otherwise? Let me know in the comments below. I would like for you guys to all put the hashtag Babeside. And when you put that on there, so Babeside, I would like to know what your thoughts are. And I would really, really appreciate it instead of just saying, yeah, they steal artwork, or they steal sculpts, or they do this, and just giving these blank statements. I would love it if you guys could provide some references for me to look into. So actually quoting maybe an article, maybe there you even have a court case that you know about that I didn't find, that specifically references Babeside. I want, or you have a specific story. Maybe you bought a Babeside doll and the experience wasn't what you expected. The doll wasn't what you expected. The customer service wasn't what you expected. I want to know about that. I did bring a few concerns that people, that I asked privately in certain groups, raised to me, and I got responses back from Babeside. We'll talk all about it, but I really want to know what you guys think. And I haven't made up my mind yet if I'm going to take the sponsorship deal or not. My reasonings for taking the sponsorship are this: one, I like the brand, um, and number two, I think they're a good company for beginners or dolls for your kids to get them into the reborn hobby. I think they fit that niche quite nicely. Will I take a Babeside doll and make it a part of my collection? Probably not, because I want a higher level of realism. But because it's, even though it wouldn't be part of my collection, I would still buy a Babeside doll for myself, and here's why. One, they have full body silicone dolls that are much more priced. These are dolls that I can carry around, I can hold, you can actually use for therapy without you having an art doll that was made by reborn artists that you're constantly worried about you're going to rub the paint off or damage the silicone. These are dolls that are designed to be actually carried around and actually used in the therapy setting, which is exactly what my channel is about, is the comforting aspect of it. So while it's not a part of my art collection, I still might actually buy a Babeside doll based on those other things that are important to me. I just want to point out one more thing, especially if you're new. You notice my eyes move around. One of the important part of the therapy with reborn dolls is because I'm visually impaired, I'm actually legally blind. My eyes do move around, And so feel and touch on the doll and how it feels is more important to me. I don't always notice the fine details of painting or veining or certain modding, but I do appreciate it and I love the weight and the feel of it. So that's really important to me. And I think Babeside dolls might be a good avenue for those type of therapy uses. So anyway, before I go out and full out endorse and say I'm going to take the sponsorship, I haven't made up my mind yet. And again, it's going to be based on some feedback from you guys too, and me still deciding if the evidence for and against Babeside is worth me putting my name behind. So let's go ahead and go into it. This video is going to be quite long. I do apologize. It's just I want to do a thorough job of explaining, and I don't want to leave details out. I don't want to leave ambiguity where people could misinterpret things. I just want to kind of go through it. And to give you just a quick little background about myself, real quick, to show why I feel like I'm uniquely qualified and my experience doing these type of research. My actual broadcast degree, or my degree in college, is in broadcasting. And this video is being shot in real time. I'm using live streaming software to actually record this. And I plan on not editing much, if at all, because again, I believe in transparency. So if I flub up, I'm going to correct myself as best I can. But I want you to see that this isn't going to be a carefully crafted, edited, you know, picture perfect piece of video, because I believe in going through everything as thoroughly and straightforward as I can, just like we're having a conversation rather than like a full on presentation, if that makes sense. But my background is in broadcast communications. I am a professional on air radio personality. I own my own radio station on the side. You guys feel free to look that up if you would like. That's not part of this channel, but I'm easy to find online. Um, and like I said, my background's in broadcasting. I have experience in journalism, so journalism investigation. I'm familiar with what you can and can't say in broadcast and what is considered slander, what is considered um, inappropriate use of work. And so that's also why I got permission from any direct quotes that I have, is because I do believe in that level of transparency and letting them know that I was going to be using them as direct source quotes. And they were more than beyond that. In fact, I have videos that they are allowing me to share as part of this that show behind the scenes in their actual factory. So we'll get to that later on. But that just wanted to show you guys that I'm being very diligent in the way that I'm going to present this. All right, so let's kind of pick up where things started here with everything. Obviously, we've got Babeside here. Let's just quickly take a look at their website, because one of the things that people notice is that these sites kind of have this sort of salesy thing to them, and that is true. One of the first things I got when I went onto the site was a big pop-up that says 20% off, and it does have that very sales vibe, which some people in the Reborn community don't like, because it does kind of give you this, yeah, am I really getting something special? That kind of thing. I hear that side of the argument. I think that Babeside is just like any other business. If they've got a way to promote their product, I think that that's well within their means, and it's just their strategy. I don't think it means that the doll isn't special. I think that that's just how they've chosen to market, and you can like it or you can hate it. Again, I'm here to present what I can find, but I think their site is very beautifully designed. Clearly, they've got a heavy market towards children, and collectors too. I think that they're trying to weigh a line between marketing to children and marketing to parents. And like I said, I think they're trying to market to both. But clearly, I think they get maybe my personal opinion. I think they get more sales for parents buying dolls for children, as clearly you can see that. But you can also see there's a mom there holding a baby like that, and then you can see a couple kids, and then a mom and a daughter, holding a doll together. I think there's that sort of connection between mother daughter. And I'm gonna actually talk to you. I got a statement about them and how they feel about men and as customers buying their product too. So I have all of that coming up. But I just thought I'd show you their site. One of the big things we'll talk about is U.S. local shipping. One of the concerns was about returns. We'll talk about that later in the video. So again, I want to hear your comments below. Please let me know your initial thoughts. And you can even go back and edit the comment later after we're done. And I want to know if after watching this video, maybe if it changed your mind at all. So feel free to let me know. Clearly, they're advertising for Mother's Day. They're doing 13% off, and obviously the photography here is quite unique, quite compelling. very cute, very, on brand for what Babeside is. So yeah, we'll get back to this a little bit later. One of the things I want to tell you first is just to show you that I've actually bought some dolls from Babeside. So I'm going to leave this up and let me switch to another tab here. I've got about 20 tabs I feel like that I'm going to go through today, so bear with me. But I actually own this doll right here. This is their Lean doll, I believe is how you say it, Leen. I own this. This is one of their most popular dolls. At the time, I had purchased this one on Amazon. And let me show you the picture that I have of this doll. Oh, might help if I put it right above my screen share, huh? There we go. Um, yes. So there's the exact doll as it came out of the box. This photo was taken. It took me a little bit to find it, but it was taken about a year and a half ago, I want to say. But yes, even down to the outfit, you can see that the doll in the box, when I opened it, is the exact same doll that is on their website to the T. So, in my experience, the claim that Babeside doesn't ship dolls that match what their product description is, in my experience, that is not true. And this is my proof right here. As you can see, the doll on the right is a picture taken of the doll when it was opened. This was actually a gift to my son. I knew he was going to turn it into a boy. That was fine. He liked the smile on this doll, like the little teeth in there. And so that's what he chose to buy um, as a birthday gift, actually. And this was actually probably a couple years now. And so he's kind of outgrown it a little bit. He actually still has this doll. I wish I had an updated picture of it. I forgot to go to his room and ask him if I could grab one. But he renamed it Rocket, and it has a space onesie and blue outfit on. So yeah, he I wouldn't have named a baby Rocket, but what do you want from like a 7 and 8 year old at the time? So, but yeah, so this is an actual Babeside doll that I had purchased, and I felt like the quality matched with what I was expecting, especially for the price. I do think that Babeside positions themselves in this way for a reason. You are not going to see high end artistry on these. These are much more simple dolls. But the beauty of that is, again, they're much better for cuddling. They're much better for the therapy side of things. I would like to see more more vinyl dolls from Babeside that are weighted. That's a personal thing because I think the weight can make a big difference, and it's such a simple add to a doll to help it. Weighting the limbs or adding the glass beads into the body. They may have some dolls, but of the dolls that I've seen from Babeside, I haven't seen any weighting attempt on them, so they're fairly light dolls. Doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that that realism isn't there necessarily if that's what you're looking for. But at least from what the picture shows to what you actually get, this matches. So I'm going to hide that for now. And I wanted to show you guys the initial email that I had gotten from Babeside. And I'm not going to read the video or this message in its entirety just to try to save some time here. But please feel free to pause this video. This was the initial email that I had gotten from them. And of course, it highlights what they're looking for. The parts that really captured me was the part around how they want to capture creators that are interested in storytelling. And again, as I mentioned with the waiting, they want creators who are also interested in collaborating on potential new sculpts or designs. I have seen people take Babeside dolls with them that they're sponsored, and then they go and they paint them and they bring them to life. They actually take the blank kit that Babeside has and they actually will paint it. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I've seen definitely some videos where they do that. Not for me, my bad eyesight. You would not want me painting your doll. It might look like a Frankenstein doll by the time it was over. But I appreciate the artistry and the artists who do them. I think it's really cool. Um, but yes, this was the email that they sent me. I took this one kind of seriously. Of course, part of this is they offered a free doll of my choice to do an unboxing and review. And then they have an affiliate program that gives me the ability to share the coupon code with you guys to get a discount, and then also some commission for me if someone uses my code and purchases a doll, which is good. And it's not that I want to do this channel for the money. I do want to be clear about that. I'm really not interested in that, in the money part. But there's certain expenses that I've had since starting this channel, like equipment. I just had to buy a new tripod this last week because I realized I didn't have the ability to do overhead shots for doll changes, like clothes changes, certain unboxing angles, and all that. So I just got a new tripod for that. The software that I use to edit these videos to make them all costs money. And so if it helps me break even or even allows me to put some money aside so I can purchase new dolls from artists and not have so much of a personal financial burden to them to make them happen, um, I kind of felt like that was kind of a win for me. And if it worked out and I really believed in the product and I thought that they were completely legitimate, then that works out for you guys as the viewer because then you have access to dolls that I would recommend and I can put my name behind and tell you that these are good dolls. Now I'm not there yet where I'm going to say that. I'm just going to go through the evidence today and we'll have a discussion about it hopefully as we go on. But I can also tell you that Babeside, knows about this video obviously, and so those hashtags in the comments you leave, I can tell you that there's a good chance Babeside will likely read them, and so that's a good way for you to then talk directly to the manufacturer, the creators, and I'm sure that they would welcome your feedback. I'm sure they welcome your feedback anyway if you reach out to their customer service. They've been very responsive for me in this back and forth kind of over the past couple weeks and they haven't shied away from any of my questions. So I doubt they would do the same for you. But I'm going to go through a lot of the things that I talked about. So let's go back over here. And so this was their initial message. And then I, of course, replied I was interested. And so this was my initial reply to them. Um, uh, and you can go ahead and read this. Obviously, I'm being cautious here at this point. I'm wanting to learn more about it. I told them about how I approach sponsorships or how I promote brands. I'm not a hard salesperson. I don't believe in that kind of tactic, especially in this community where there's a lot of vulnerability and people are a lot nervous because um, I particularly talk to people who don't always feel like they've seen or that their voices matter. I talk with a lot of people who tell me about some of the most heartbreaking stories in their lives. And I know that that nervousness is there, and there's definitely that vulnerability from a lot of the stories I hear. And so um, I want to be very clear that if you're looking for someone who's going to hard sales on something, that's you've got the wrong person here. But if you want someone who's willing to build a long term relationship with you and someone who speaks honestly and transparently about products and obviously is in the same mindset of where we're at as a channel, then great, let's have a conversation. So, this was my message back to them. Again, feel free to pause and read it if you would like. But then they replied back to me. So, um, let's go ahead and go here. This was their initial reply back. This was them saying that they agreed with the way that I present and that I align with their brand. And I omitted all the information about signing up for their affiliate and all that. And I haven't done any of that yet. But this was just part of that initial correspondence. After this came out, this is where I was like, okay, this is being more serious. They're not dismissing me. They're not giving me generic. They're starting to actually um, respond here. Let me see what some artists have to say. And when I talked to some artists, these were, of course, the common concerns that they had. And I'm going to go this as a Q&A. Rather than going through every email correspondence back and forth with Babeside, I'm going to do this as a Q&A. These are going to be, the answer portions are going to be direct quotes from Babeside public relations representative. So someone actually representing the brand. And we'll kind of go through them. So in this question, it was regarding the sculpt design. Um, this was their, you mentioned that the face sculpts are original designs. I'd love to learn a bit more about how that works. Are these designs created by in-house sculptors or contracted artists? And those artists, are those artists credited anywhere? And then their response was all of our face sculpts are original designs created entirely by our in house 3D modeling team. We don't use traditional clay sculpting, everything is done digitally, which gives us precision and consistency. Because the designs are produced under our brand by our internal artists, the credit goes to Babeside as a brand. not to individual sculptors. This is a conscious choice. We operate as a brand team, not a single artist studio. That said, our designers are experienced professionals who take great pride in their work. So that is also why we get to this next item here of about COAs and why you don't get a COA with Babeside. And it isn't because they're shy about it, it's just because they employ the people who are making the sculpts. They are employing the people who they say are the designers behind the babies that you see on their website. So let's go on to that portion of it. So, do you reference this was the next question I asked. So I asked, do you reference existing kits, um, or are your sculpts fully independent? Now, this next part, the first part of their answer here, I thought was actually quite interesting, because they say that we do study industry trends, things like skin texture, finishes, accessory combinations, and functional features, e.g., weighted bodies, posable limbs. This helps us understand what collectors value and what quality standards are expected. However, when it comes to core visual identity, facial contours, proportions, eye shapes, hairstyles, and overall expression, every sculpt is developed independently by our own artist. We don't copy or directly reference an existing Reborn kit. Our goal is to create original, lifelike dolls that stand on their own. So they have made a very clear statement here that no, they don't get influenced by looking at another sculpt. They say that they don't use them as a reference for their own sculpt, that their sculpts are fully original. We're going to touch back to this here in a little bit because I have specific sculpts that artists have told me that they feel like Babeside directly copies, and some have even sent me actual links to Babeside dolls that they say look like certain other well known sculpts that have already been made. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Let's move on to the next one here. So authenticity in the COA. I mentioned this earlier. I'm not going to cover this particular answer. Please pause the video again to read their full response here. But they basically say that, of course, there's not going to be a COA. Instead, every original design was created and registered to copyright with the relevant authorities, the National Copyright Administration of America. I'm going to pause there. This one made me pause. I don't know if it's just because the way they typed it or what they meant, but there's no National Copyright Administration of America. So instead, let me bring this back up. Let's see if I can go directly to it. Yeah. So instead, make sure you guys are looking at the right thing too. Yep. Instead, we have the U.S. Copyright Office. That is actually what it's called, where you go to register your copyright work. I did do several different types of searches. I tried to look for Star Pony. I tried to look for Babeside. I tried referencing specific doll creations. They say that they are registered in the U.S. I wasn't able to validate that claim because I did go on to the copyright.gov website and I did try to find any registrations for specific to Babeside or Star Pony, which is their parent company, on here, and I was unable to find any U.S. registered copyrights. I'm not saying that there aren't any. I'm just saying I couldn't find them. So if obviously I know Babeside's going to be watching this, so if they have them, I would very much love a link to the U.S. Copyright Office where they are registered at, just so I can see and validate what they said here. All right, so let's go back over here just so we have something else when we reference. I've got a bunch of tabs, so I got to keep everything nice and organized. But yes, let's go ahead and take that down. And the next Q&A question that I had was about safety standards. So this is CE in testing. If you don't know, CE is just a standard method of testing for product safety. Because they are primarily a toy brand, I believe they have some more quality standards that they have to meet. Because children are often going to be the ones interacting with their products. They are clearly market to children in this. So their answer is yes, our dolls meet the requirements for the CE certification, European safety standards, US and European and Canadian toy safety tests. These certificates cover things like material safety, small parts, flammability, and sorry, I'm gonna have to get a little closer. I'm trying not to get so I'm like looking directly in the screen, but I want to make sure I read this. Phthalates, I believe is how you say that. We work with third party testing laboratories, SGS, to ensure every batch complies with these standards. And then they say I'd be happy to provide you with some redacted test reports and CE certification reports attached. So I do have these. I'm not going to directly distribute them. However, I will scroll through them on camera. That's just out of respect. But if you would like these direct reports, I would imagine Babeside would be happy to share some of this with you. But I'm going to bring them up on screen here, and I'm going to scroll through them somewhat quickly. But again, please feel free to pause the video so that you can see. I'm going to go through these in groups of 2. There are 4 total reports that they had sent me. Let me jump back over here. Whoops. There we go. Wrong screen. Um, Let me mute that. Like I said, guys, I prefer to do these as live cuts so you guys can see. So yes, these are their SGS testing. These are 2 different testing. So I'm going to scroll through this again. Please feel free to pause the video if you would like as I do this, but I'm going to go through one at a time. On the left, somewhat slowly, but just enough so you can see everything that is in this report. It's not a terribly long report. It's about 3 pages. And so, again, please feel free to pause at any point. So I'm going to quickly kind of go through here, but it does seem to line up with what they say. And we'll go through this so you guys can see it. These typically look fairly identical, I noticed. But we will go through just so you guys can see. Because I do want to, as I said, be as transparent as possible. They say their products meet safety standards. This is what they provided me. And then we'll move on to the second set of testing. This is the other SGS report. And these are all based on different countries. It looked like to me. So one was Canada, one was US, one was European. So just bear that in mind. And so I'm going to go through this. The one on the right is just a single page. So you can see that one as I scroll through. Again, pause the video if you would like. So as we go through, very standard, very good report. I don't know how much to read into this, to be honest with you. I'm not familiar with these type of reports to know everything. Obviously, when you see everything that says pass, it seems like it's a good thing. So, but yes, again, on this page on the right for um, the verification of compliance here, this is their CE certification. That is what they presented to me. So, again, just wanted to show you guys that, and then from there we'll kind of go on. I'm going to read a couple more things here. Um, we'll talk about Star Pony in just a second, but I'm going to quickly go back here, and we're going to finish up with the Q&A portion here. Yep. So there was the safety. Next one, how do you ensure product photos match what customers receive? Because I was trying to address the concern that people have lumped Babeside into companies that steal photos directly off artist websites, put them on their own website as their own quote unquote photography of the baby that they're selling, effectively stealing the photography of the reborn artist. So this is how they're addressing that. And they say, this is at the heart of what we do, especially because the Reborn community has seen too many misleading listings, which they're acknowledging that this is a problem, which is good to see. Our process is simple and strict. Real photography only. Every image and video on our product pages is taken of an actual doll we have produced, not a prototype or a stolen image. Standardized quality control. We use the same materials, painting techniques, and assembly methods for every doll. Pre shipment verification. Before a doll is packed, a team member physically compares it to the listing photo. If there's any noticeable deviation, it doesn't ship. So this is how they're saying, like, if a doll goes through the manufacturing process and it doesn't look like the doll that's in the photo, they don't ship it. That is what they basically are saying here. So I can't personally doubt that because as I said before and showed earlier, every doll that I have gotten matches exactly what was in the photo, all the way down to the outfit even. So I just wanted to bring that up. Um, the last thing I want to talk about here were some community things before we go into the artist claims, and we're going to do some side by side comparisons. So these were some community concerns that I asked in some private Facebook groups. A lot of people in the groups were extremely supportive of Babeside, actually. A couple people said that they'd owned 7+ dolls from Babeside and they loved them, which is great. That's kind of what I was hoping to hear. I got one person that said that they're a scam and that when they did buy a doll from Babeside, that they were told to ship it back to a personal address in China, that it was like some person's actual house in China. I would believe that if were reviewing dollreborns.com because that's what happened to me with them. But in this case, I wanted to ask. Another concern in the community was revolving around the hair rooting quality. And you're going to see here already on your screen, they actually address this. So let's talk about it. So with US returns and exchanges. So they say yes, for US customers, returns and exchanges are handled through a US based warehouse address. This helps make the process much smoother and more affordable. And they are correct. Shipping to China, return shipping back there is extremely expensive, and you have to deal with customs control. So if you are shipping in the US and returning in the US domestically, it's much, much more valuable to the company. Plus, like I said, you can buy Babeside dolls on Amazon. So you know you're going to get the Amazon customer service if there's an issue because you can return Amazon packages in many different ways from Whole Foods to what Staples and UPS stores. And I think they have dedicated Amazon return drop-offs. So there's so many ways when you do that. Now I think Babeside would prefer you to buy it from them. I think they would say that you probably get a better deal because if you buy from Babeside, then you don't have to deal with Amazon's take of the sale, and I think they might be able to offer some better deals. That's my perception. Can't say it for a fact, but I would have ventured to say that that would probably be more true. Um, Regarding the rooting durability, this was actually a really good comment for me to get back from them. So they say, yes, you are correct. This has been a challenge for some dolls. Silicone hair rooting is an industry wide difficulty because silicone doesn't hold rooted hair as securely as vinyl or cloth. That said, we don't want to hide behind that. We've been actively improving our rooting techniques, including testing different needle gauges, rooting depths, and adhesive methods. Some older models or specific production batches have shown more shedding than others, but newer production runs are noticeably stronger. If a customer receives a doll with excessive shedding, we handle it case by case, always aim to make it right. Replacement, repair guidance, or partial refund, depending on the situation. That is absolutely taking ownership, in my personal opinion, because they could just have said, they could have mentioned that first part of that sentence and just dropped it. Nope, because they wouldn't technically be wrong. I know this because I have now my a custom artist done hair rooting that is a partial silicone doll. It is known that you cannot seal the hair on the inside of a silicone doll. It is a needle, they push it through, and then they have to poke each individual hair thread into the silicone scalp of the doll. Therefore, there's no glue. It will pull out. It's just a hole, and you're relying on the tension of the silicone to actually hold the hair in place. Whereas with vinyl dolls, they can set the hair. They can fix it from the inside of the vinyl, which makes it more durable and resistant to shedding. So you need to understand that when you're buying a silicone, it doesn't matter if it's a manufactured silicone or a high-end reborn artist silicone. When you deal with hair rooting, this is a common issue, and it's something that people should be aware of. All right. So with all of that out of the way, let's go on to some of the direct artist comparisons that um, I have gotten. Actually, sorry, I got a little ahead of myself here. Let's actually talk about the company behind Babeside, which is Star Pony. So we're going to come back over here. I just went straight to their about page. Um, Obviously, Star Pony, they're well known in China. They have other brands in them, so you can actually see their different brands. And Babeside just happens to be one of them. So you can see they make like plushies, and that. So this isn't their only brand. They are a toy company. So just know that they have other brands and that they represent. And Babeside is just one of them. Obviously, we're talking about Babeside today. There, right there. There's the doll. You can tell how popular it is. It's right there on their Star Pony About Side page. And I'll read this first paragraph here. Um, it says Babeside focuses on hyper realistic baby reborn doll category and is committed to leading the development of the category, shaping the minds of Babeside as the preferred hyper realistic baby doll for families and children around the world through the continuous supply of high quality dolls. Um, Babeside hopes to convey love and warmth to everyone who desires to have a reborn doll. Our slogan is Baby by My Side. Baby by your side. It means Babeside brand products are passed from the hands of our designers to your hands, accompanying you to make you feel peace and love. Obviously, that statement right there very much aligns with what the Strong Hands Reborn Dad channel is all about, because we do show about mental health. We talk about comfort and therapy that these dolls can bring. So clearly, Babeside has a clear stance on this, and they recognize this as an important um, role that um, reborn or lifelike baby dolls can have for people. So I think that that's really important. There was one statement that I wanted to bring up, and I don't feel like I might have forgotten to actually do that. So I'm going to go back to my email for this, but I do apologize. I had forgotten to actually put it in here. So I'm actually just going to read off of the latest email that they had sent me regarding their stance on inclusivity, especially when it comes to men. Actually, you know what? Hang on. If you guys will bear with me on this, like I said, this video is already um, fairly lengthy, but I just want to do my best to show you guys actually. So this will only take me a split second here um, to actually get up on screen. So let me do that. There we go. So on inclusivity, they say, quote, this is a wonderful request. And because I had asked them what their stance is on men and supporting men in the reborn hobby, because I had mentioned that men obviously may feel insecure about wanting to purchase a reborn doll because of stigma about men being in the reborn doll space. However, I can tell you that a good chunk of my followers and subscribers and viewers are men, and oftentimes don't feel comfortable coming forward, and that they enjoy the hobby, and they really should feel comfortable to come forward. So I asked Babeside if they had an official statement on this. Um, so here's a short statement from Babeside that you're welcome to share on your own screen. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have copied that first part, so I apologize. But it said Babeside welcomes all collectors, regardless of gender, age, or experience level. We believe the joy of reborns is universal, and we're honored to be part of a growing, inclusive community where everyone feels seen and valued. To our male collectors, you belong here, and we're grateful to have you. Um, sorry, I probably didn't mean to copy the whole thing in that section of the email, but I saw it and I was just trying to quickly get it on there. So to them, I apologize for having a little bit of that extra context in there. Um, but yes, so there you go. That is their official statement regarding inclusivity with men in there. So clearly they do support it, even if their marketing doesn't always convey that. Obviously, if I do take up the sponsorship, then that gives them my views and my videos to use as reference for men in the reborn doll space. And if we move forward with that, then I'm certainly feel honored in that way to participate in that way. Um, but yeah, so let's go ahead and jump back over here. Um, I did check out their direct page as well. Um, so I thought I would bring that up. And one thing I always noticed, and I brought this up to my son too, because he went through a phase. He's starting to grow out of it now, but he went through a phase where he was actually into baby dolls. And just quickly, backstory for me: I was brought up in a very traditional family, and dolls, especially baby dolls, and that were not considered boy toys. It was frowned upon when I was a kid to play with dolls. Even though growing up, I was around girls an awful lot. My mother worked a lot, and I spent a lot of time at babysitters. And just happened to be that the babysitters I was around had a lot of girls, and girls were nice, and I just wanted friends, so I did what the girls did, and that meant dolls. And I'm not saying that that's where my passion started from, but certainly it was an influence because I remember, my mother not really being supportive when she caught me one time with the teddy bear with the diaper on it, and I was trying to pretend. I must have been 7 years old, and so I showed Junior this. I remember showing him this page once upon a time, and the little boy there in the middle. Right there, that obviously Babeside clearly is showing here that they support all children, and adults. You can see on the far left the older person holding the doll, because it's well documented that baby dolls or reborn dolls in senior centers can help with patients with dementia. And so I think that that's important too. So I think this page actually does a really good job of showing a more diverse range of who they're trying to reach, even if the upfront marketing doesn't always represent it. Clearly, you can see here they're talking about, like, you can see pictures of kids with the dolls and that. And you can read the brand introduction here if you want. I'm trying to move on here somewhat quickly, just to kind of show you what their brand story is. You can go onto their website and, of course, read all of this for yourself. I just think this is really important to actually kind of show, because many companies that are scam companies don't have this kind of page, don't have this kind of information just readily available. In fact, what I really like here is you can see that this is their Trustpilot score. Um, this is actually them referencing it, so not even like just their own in-house. They're referencing Trustpilot, which you can go and check out your own self, and then you compare it to, like, keep referencing Doll Reborns because that's what I have experience with. Who has a 1.2 star rating on Trustpilot, whereas Babeside has like a 4.1 or 4.2 star rating. So absolutely. Um, I do believe that the reviews are not fabricated. I do believe personally that there's too much evidence here to indicate that, and especially even like I said, from asking the private groups what their opinion about Babeside was. I think there's enough there to at least elevate Babeside out of the really, really obvious scam companies. And I think there's enough here to, for me personally, I'm not seeing it, that they're operating, and the communication, as you've seen, has been really, really transparent. But let's go on and let's talk about specific sculpts that artists have told me that they have directly copied from, and they gave me these as examples. These images that you are seeing on your screen right now are actually from the um, creator's website. So the one on the left is from Bonnie Brown. The one on the right is a listing that an artist that I will keep anonymous because they asked me to. Um, on the right of the Reborn doll from Babeside that they say was directly copied off of the, in this case, the Levi sculpt, which is a very popular sculpt. I actually even have a replica of a Levi. It is not from Babeside, though. It was a gift to me, and I only later found out that it was a replica of a Levi sculpt. So I didn't know it at the time, and I didn't purchase it directly myself. But I know that the Levi sculpt is a heavily used sculpt in other types of companies that do steal. I know that this is a problem, and clearly even Babeside acknowledged it as well. But let's take a close look at Levi specifically here. On the left are the actual um, Levi images from Bonnie Brown. And we are comparing it to the image on the right because this was the link and the doll that was referenced by an artist to me that they say looks like a copy of the Levi sculpt. I have bad eyesight, so my personal opinion may not be yours because I'm looking at this on a giant 49-inch screen actually in front of me right now. And I don't see the similarity. Maybe a little bit of the lip, but I'm not seeing enough here that makes me think that this is a direct copy. There might be a little bit there to be a coincidence of it being at least a little bit inspired, but I don't see enough here that says, "Yep, Babeside copied this," and it looks exactly like a Levi sculpt. Um, I'm not gonna. I'm trying to teeter a line here because the artist who told me this has been doing Reborn artistry for well over a decade, and they can see things or they may notice things that I just don't as a collector, especially a collector that I haven't even been deep into this hobby for even quite a full year yet. I've been interested in it for a long time from afar, casually viewing things, for years and years. But it's only that I'm active as a Reborn collector in the past year. So I can't say it, but I wanted to present both of them side by side. And you guys can tell me in the comments what your opinions are. Love to hear it. Do you think that this looks like a direct copy of a Levi sculpt? So using the doll on the right as the comparison to the actual Levi sculpt on the left, what do you think? There's some other images here we can kind of go to um, and see of just the head, and I'll let you guys kind of be the judge here, and you can tell me what looks the same, what makes it look different, and that's another question I have for the community because I can't directly answer this. Let's say hypothetically that that someone's able to present evidence that says, "Yep, Babeside clearly looks like they took inspiration from this to make their own doll." How much of a doll's sculpt would have to be changed before it becomes original? The thing that you may notice about babies in general, even real life babies, is they tend to look quite the similar sometimes. Um, their distinct features aren't always prominent, I think, at birth. And I can say this, myself. You know, there's a lot of uniqueness, of course, but I think if you're trying to really drill down like every possible way to make a baby look a certain way, I think that there's enough sculpts out there. I think it's almost impossible. And I can tell you that I have seen legitimate reborn dolls that come with their own COA that have their own thing and aren't treated like the same as what a lot of people want to treat Babeside as, that look a lot like me. And I feel bad because in my whole research here, I forgot to actually bring the ones up that I was thinking about, but I know that that can happen as well, where different sculpts have COAs, but that they can look kind of somewhat similar. They may have similar features. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up to you guys. Let's move on. Show you some other examples here. Oh, this is the other one that they said looks like a Levi sculpt as well. So this was another example of a Levi sculpt that I was given. Again, I'll let you guys be the judge if you think it does. Excuse me. Moving on. All right. So another one that an artist told me that Babeside copies is the Twin A and Twin B from Bonnie Brown. This was one of the images I found. This is off the McPherson's Crafts website, I believe up in Canada. And then the doll on the right represents the doll from Babeside. And you can see Babeside has some pretty high-end dolls, actually. I want to be clear though, the price you're seeing on McPherson's, even though it's cheaper than the doll on the right from Babeside, you're not getting this doll in the mail when you do this. McPherson's is a kit company. You're gonna get a blank. Um, let me see. These are all examples. Let me see if I can. Usually, I think on McPherson's, sometimes they put them at the bottom. I apologize. I don't have a blank example here that I can get to. Um, yeah, these are all finished examples of like Twin A and some Twin Bs, I think, that have been reborn, but um, they are not the blanks. I'm trying to find them. I was hoping to be able to find them, but oh, here we go. So that would be the example of the blank that you would get delivered from them. So just an FYI on that. But yeah, and then we have to compare it to this doll on the right. And I think I'm trying to find one that shows the face up kind of close. This one kind of does. In a way, I actually kind of see the lips that look similar to me. Obviously, the eyes are closed, kind of similar. Obviously, the Babeside doll doesn't have as much detail in the molding as the Twin A does. That's pretty obvious to see. Here's another good close up. In this example, the mouth is open wider on the Twin A example compared to the doll on the right here from Babeside. Um, Here's a good close up of the face. I can kind of see the lip a little bit where it looks similar. I can't say that it looks like a direct copy, but I will admit in this case I can see where the comparison might look somewhat similar, but I I'm not a I'm not going to say here that I'm an expert in this. I'm just going to let you guys kind of let me know in the comments, but I just wanted to present this as a transparent way to say an artist says that this doll on the right looks like a copied sculpt from the Twin A and Twin B from Bonnie Brown. That's what they said. So that's what I'm comparing. All right. Let's go on. I got one more set of dolls to compare for you guys. Lulu, which is another doll that I know gets copied a lot by illegitimate companies. Um, this was the doll example from Babeside that they say looks like a Lulu. Let me see. There's a good face example. Again, for me, it's always the lips that kind of make me think the first thing, but I'm trying to look at the nose. I think the nose on the Babeside doll is smaller than the nose on the Lulu. Um, don't look at the hair rooting or the modeling and the detailing and the paint and all that because that's obviously going to be different. Um, and again, the argument here is that well, companies like Babeside is the statement that I've gotten will just make a slight change or they'll use different limbs or different proportions. They'll change one thing so that they can skirt around copyright. That's the common statement that I've heard. And my thing here is okay, so let's say they did that. And let's say that they kind of took inspiration from that. Let's really stretch that whole like we follow industry trends statement and stretch it really far, in my opinion, and say, okay, let's say they did, argue for argument's sake, take this doll and make a comparison. How much of a doll of the sculpt has to change before it becomes original? We've heard songs that kind of sound the same. They maybe follow the same rhythm pattern, and you might think, well, doesn't that song sound like that? But it's not, and it's its own song. It lives in its own space, and there's no copyright issue. Yet there's some similarities, maybe with the melody that sound like another song, but it's still its own unique piece of work. And I guess how does that apply in this space? And I get it that Babeside manufactures their doll in China, that they're not shy about that. Um, so, but again, my question is how much of it has to change before it becomes original, even if they were using it as a reference. But in their statement, they say that they do not. So, just want to be clear about that. All right, now we're going to move on to some fun. Um, oh, I did want to show you one thing. There was one thing that I found from Bountiful Baby. It looks like it was a blog post. And so I'm going to scroll up. This main post had to do more with an Amazon case where Amazon was sued. And a judge ruled that they couldn't be sued in a particular state. It had to be sued in the state that the server was actually in, which was Washington State. You can read this if you want, pause the video, but it doesn't reference Babeside specifically in here. Instead, we come down here, and as part of this person's comment, they said, when you search Reborn on TikTok, you will get almost all sponsored ads for Babeside and similar brands. It's messed up that TikTok allows these counterfeiters to use their ad platform, and even more upsetting when the counterfeiters send free dolls to random regular people to review and promote. I've even seen videos of reviewers from kids. There are hundreds of people on TikTok buying and selling counterfeit reborns through various affiliate programs, and they have no idea these dolls are stolen or who they're stolen from. On a whim one day, I went onto a live stream of some random woman showing a counterfeit she selling as a Babeside brand affiliate drop shipper. Okay. I said in the chat, do you know these dolls are stolen? And in real time, I watched her react to me with shock and sadness. Heartbreakingly, she didn't know all of that. She was upset and wanted to talk to me more so I could explain privately. You can read the rest of that if you'd like. But again, here's the thing about this. The statement that this person is making is a blanket statement. Excuse me. You're saying that when you search it, they're talking about sponsored ad from Babeside, and they're blanketly saying that Babeside should be lumped into other companies that are part of the scam process without, at least in here, maybe they provided it privately to this person. So here's the other thing. They talk about some of the sculpts here. So Olivia is April by June. Daisy is Missy. Stella is Bonnie. Maddie is Maddie by Bonnie Brown. Noah is a Levi by Bonnie Brown. And then Doreen is a Saskia by Bonnie Brown as well. Bonnie Brown is an extremely well-known sculptor in the community and very popular. She's been around forever and a day. And so, but again, you're telling, this is the part that bothers me. It's not so much that people aren't looking out for each other and trying to protect people. I understand it. It's this idea that every company, because they are a master or a larger quantity producer of lifelike baby dolls, that they all need to be lumped into the same category of scammers. And if I had bought a doll from Babeside and I didn't get what I expected, if my experience was just like that from dollreborns.com that I had this last fall, absolutely. I wouldn't be sitting here doing this much research into this and sitting here at 10:30 at night and recording a video and trying to go through every little thing on Babeside that people said against companies like them if I already believed that they were a scam company. And I'm trying to find evidence to support these accusations against Babeside specifically, because as I said, I don't want to have a sponsorship with a company that I feel like is illegitimate. And so I think that I'm trying my best here to be objective before I accept it. And that's why I'm making this video and even being transparent with Babeside that I'm making this video. And hopefully all of that makes sense. Now, we're over an hour into this video. Again, I told you guys this was going to be long, but I promise you we're actually getting to the good part. The part that I wanted to really show you guys. And so let me hop back in here. And this was part of my search for copyright, and then they brought up some other lawsuits, but nothing that I could find against Babeside. And again, the U.S. copyright thing. But let me show you guys a promotional video that they sent me. This is a fully produced promotional video, and then I'll show you some of the raw um, uh, stuff that I found. You guys should be able to hear the audio. It'll be underneath my voice if I do talk. So just so you know, you may need to turn your volume up on your computer or your phone to hear this fully, as I intentionally kept it a little bit more quieter. So here we go. This is a promo video that they originally sent me. Guys, let me know what you think.
Babeside hopes to bring love and warmth to everyone who wants a reborn doll, softening your life, healing your heart. The Babeside brand was born on June 6, 2022, focusing on the hyperrealistic reborn doll category and aiming to become a global leader in doll IP and related products in the digital age. Designers with 10 years of experience carefully crafting every expression. 3D sculpting, precision mold making, multi-layer hand painting, hyper-realistic skin texture. Striving for excellence, embracing open innovation, taking ownership and responsibility, putting the user first and driving change. Multi-point quality inspection, safety first. International certification, safety promise. On-time delivery, worldwide shipping. Thousands of genuine reviews, gathering hearts of love. Babeside has accompanied over 1 million families and has more than 610,000 followers. Thank you to mothers and influencers worldwide for your trust and sharing. Babeside, bringing warmth and companionship to the world.
Cool. So one thing that I did want to bring up, I don't know if I can find it specifically in this video. Well, you see it a little bit here. The packaging that they show there is not the packaging I've ever received from Babeside. There was a piece of packaging that they did show earlier on, I wanted to say. Potentially it was in their manufacturing portion. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't, I've got another example where I found it, but it was of their the packaging portion where they showed the boxes, and there was something that I noticed that was similar to Doll Reborn's and could be there right here. That box right there is used by other manufactured reborn doll companies. And including dollreborns.com, they use that exact same box. When I look at that, and then I saw, when I got the Doll Reborns one, now knowing that, I can't help but wonder why the box looks the same between both of those companies. I might need to ask about that, why the packaging is the same between multiple companies, like the box looks the same. I do know that Babeside has this inner thing with the box where the box can turn into a cradle. I've seen them advertise that. I don't know if all their dolls come with that now, that feature. It's really good for kids. But I think that might be unique. But the box that you see at the end, or that I showed you, was like a brighter color box. Oh, it's not going to show it to me now. I was trying to scroll through and actually get it to show me that. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter too much, but you guys probably saw that box. You guys can go back and check it out. But yeah, it was definitely a different box. So that box that they show in the actual people receiving is different. And so if that was the case, that'd be like fine. But I did notice that, and I thought I would point it out. All right. Now, the next thing, you guys think, oh, cool, they just shared a promotional video. Good job. It doesn't really prove anything. Then they shared me with these videos. Now, this one specifically, they asked me not to make available publicly. These were privately shared, but they said that I can use them in my video in the context of the video itself. So here we go. I will go ahead and play this. These are very short. Most of these are uncut, and you'll hear lots of noises in the background. So just be prepared for that. So you can see them obviously working with the silicone. I think they're cleaning off excess material. Sorry, wow, that was loud. They're actually cleaning off excess material there. So off of one of the silicone dolls, there is a lot of excess material. I know when silicones come out of the mold that they have to clean off. So there's definitely a cleaning process that happens, and I've seen artists do the same similar process as well. Here's the next video. This one does not have audio to it, but you can see, you know, stenciling around the eyes. Again, very short videos. Again, looked very similar into that one as the other one. Here is them drawing the hair. This is the painting of the hair, not actual hair rooting. So this is just them kind of drawing on it, doing individual lines. So just so you guys can see that. But they say that they do the actual painting of the hair. So, and that was their video evidence to show that. Again, I can't fully validate it. I'm just going off what they sent me. And here's the last video that they sent me. This one is also a silent video. On here, you can see that they are pouring the mold. Actually, there is audio, but there's not much here to hear. So I'm gonna mute it because it's just really loud. But there's nothing that actually says. There's just a lot of background noise. But you can see there's a guy pulling, you know, the molds out there. You know, that's actually how they did the heads, and it doesn't look very glamorous, does it? It's very raw. It's very real. Kind of, you know, this is actually how you pour silicone from a mold. So I just, like I said, I wanted to show you guys that and let you guys see it. So that is all the information. That's everything that I can say. Now you're probably wondering, am I going to take the sponsorship or not? And I don't know actually yet. I'm thinking yes, based on all the evidence and trying to look at every side that I've got. But I really would like to have you as the community, my viewers, give me one more last piece of input. I'd really like to know if this resonated with you, if you found value in this. Again, in the comments, put the hashtag Babeside along with your comment. You can also, in the community section here on YouTube, you can share photos with me directly there of your Babeside dolls. Would love to see them. You can also go to stronghandsreborndad.com and you can submit community photos there. And I would love to see them. I would also love to hear your stories. In the contact form, you can send them private to me if you don't want to share them publicly. Happy to see that, especially if you have, you know, documentation or other proof against Babeside. I would be interested in seeing that just as a fair and balanced approach. If I do make take a sponsorship with Babeside, I will be open and transparent about it, that I do not believe that I would promote them as actual reborn dolls, because in the traditional sense, a reborn doll means that it was taken from a blank and reborn. It's a loosely fitted for them because then they do mass produce these. It's not necessarily an artist one-to-one custom reborn. So I feel a little if I would actually call it a reborn. You know, Babeside and I can chat about that in the term. But I do think that if I did use it, I would probably use the term lifelike or hyper-realistic baby doll. I don't necessarily want to give it a framing of manufactured doll and just say these are manufactured dolls. I think I like the term lifelike rather than reborn. And again, I would be promoting it as a comfort doll that you can have. These dolls are designed to be carried with you. They're designed to be held constantly. You can change them pretty much as you want. And so that's one of the beauties of these type of dolls. Again, over an artist doll, which is much more fragile and needs more care. All right. Thank you. If you've stuck around for an hour and 14 minutes now, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking with it throughout this whole time. It's a lot to go through. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you can see that I tried to do my best here to represent all sides of this argument, and maybe hopefully you can see Babeside maybe in a little bit different light, or at least in a bit more objectiveness to it. But let me know as well below. Until next time, guys, stay blessed, and remember, strength looks different here on Strong Hands Reborn Dad. God bless. We'll see you next time.